Admiral Vexthul's 3 hearts hammered against his chitinous ribcage as he stared at the navigation display. The crimson warning beacon pulsed ominously at the edge of his fleet's sensors, the boundary marker of Terran space. For 800 years, that invisible line had been more than a territorial border. It was a cosmic death sentence that no vessel had ever crossed and returned to tell the tale. Admiral, his aide, Lieutenant Kresh, whispered through mandibles that clicked nervously, "Perhaps we should reconsider. The ancient warnings are superstitious nonsense," Vexthul snapped, though his voice betrayed uncertainty. "Humans are extinct. The Empire's xenoarchaeologists confirmed it decades ago. Whatever destroyed them is long gone." The Draconian Empire had swept across the galaxy like a plague, consuming civilizations and bending entire species to their will. Their war fleets had reduced proud worlds to ash. Their bioweapons had rendered atmospheres toxic to all but their own kind. Yet one small section of space, a mere dozen star systems surrounding Sol, remained untouched, not through mercy, but through fear. Fleet Commander Zara Keth materialized on the bridge's holopad, her scaled features twisted in concern. "Admiral, long-range sensors are detecting anomalous energy signatures ahead. The readings, they don't match any known technology." Vexthul's eyes narrowed as he studied the data streaming across his command console. The Draconian Armada, 12 dreadnoughts carrying enough firepower to glass a continent, had been dispatched to finally claim the mysterious Terran systems. Emperor Thaxmor himself had grown tired of the embarrassing gap in his empire's territory. "Maintain course," he ordered. "Deploy reconnaissance drones. If there are automated defenses, we'll neutralize them and be done with this foolish superstition." As the fleet crossed the invisible threshold, space itself seemed to shudder. The stars flickered for a microsecond, reality rippling like disturbed water. Every instrument on every ship screamed warnings as fundamental physics appeared to bend around them. "Sir," the communications officer's voice cracked with terror, "we're receiving a transmission, but it's coming from inside our own ships." The main display flickered to life, revealing not an external signal, but something far more disturbing. Security footage from throughout the fleet showed empty corridors, vacant command centers, sleeping quarters with perfectly made beds. Yet shadows moved where no shadows should exist, and in the darkness between frames, faces appeared, human faces, watching with eyes that held the weight of centuries. "Who dares violate the preserve?" The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, resonating through the hulls of 12 mighty warships, as if the metal itself had found speech. It carried harmonics that shouldn't exist, frequencies that made draconian nervous systems recoil in primordial terror. Admiral Vexthul forced himself to stand straighter. "I am Admiral Vexthul of the Draconian Empire. You will identify yourself and surrender immediately or face annihilation." Laughter echoed through the void, not broadcast through speakers, but emerging from the quantum foam itself. "Draconian Empire? How quaint. Tell me, little lizard, what happened to your predecessors who tried to claim this space?" The Admiral's blood ran cold. There had been others: the hegemony of Vega, the Crystalline Confederacy, the Machine Collective. All had sent fleets into Terran space over the centuries. All had vanished without a trace. "You're human," he whispered, the words escaping before he could stop them. "Were," the voice corrected. "Death is such a limiting concept, don't you think? Your species understands only destruction, consumption, conquest. Humanity learned to transcend such primitive desires." The space around the fleet began to change. What had appeared to be empty void revealed itself as something far more complex. Structures materialized, not ships in any conventional sense, but geometric impossibilities that hurt to look at directly. They existed in too many dimensions, their surfaces reflecting light, that hadn't been emitted and casting shadows into spaces that weren't there. 800 years ago, your kind sought to add Earth to their collection of trophies. The voice continued, now speaking from within the neural implants of every crew member simultaneously. They brought their fleets, their weapons, their certainty of victory. They found a species on the verge of extinction, plague ravaged, technology failing, hope nearly gone. On the view screens, images began to form. Earth as it had been during humanity's final war against the plague that had nearly destroyed them. Cities in ruins, populations decimated, the last remnants of human civilization clinging to life in deep space habitats and underground bunkers. But humans possess something your empire has never understood: the capacity for sacrifice that transcends self-preservation. Faced with extinction by plague or conquest by you, they chose neither. The images shifted, showing massive installations being constructed in the outer system, technology that defied conventional physics being assembled by skeletal figures in environment suits. Scientists, engineers, philosophers, and dreamers, working together on humanity's final project. They chose transformation. The first draconian ship simply ceased. Not destroyed, not exploded, existed one moment and was absent the next, as if reality had politely excused it from the conversation. The crew's screams cut off mid-syllable, leaving only the echo of their terror reverberating through quantum fields. Humanity didn't die, the voice explained as a second ship followed the first into non-existence. It evolved beyond your comprehension. We became something that exists in the spaces between life and death, between matter and energy, between what is and what could be. Admiral Vex Thal watched his mighty armada disappear ship by ship, each vessel simply editing itself out of reality. "What do you want?" he gasped. "Want?" The concept seemed to amuse the presence. "We want nothing. We are the guardians of potential, the shepherds of what might become. This space is preserved not for territory, but as a reminder, a warning to species like yours, that there are fates worse than death." Only Vex Thal's flagship remained now, suspended in space that had become something other than space. Around them, the geometric impossibilities pulsed with patient malevolence. "Return to your empire," the voice commanded. "Tell them what you found here. Tell them that Terran space remains forbidden, not because humanity is dead, but because it has become something that makes death seem merciful. Tell them that some boundaries exist not to be crossed, but to be respected." Reality snapped back like a rubber band. The flagship found itself ejected beyond the border markers, its crew gasping and trembling. Behind them, the warning beacons pulsed their ancient message into the void. The Galactic Empire was warned. Some would listen. Others would learn.